Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Amos from Symmetry Acoustics. It's been a while since I posted a video on this channel. We've been up and down working on a few projects here and there. So today's video is about acoustic treatment in terms of depth. That's why I have all these little guys here from 1 inch all the way to 4 inches to be able to at least to explain to you guys how these things works and why thickness is crucial and which thickness is recommended for what purposes. So number one, before we proceed, we have to understand what's the purpose of acoustic treatment. So acoustic treatment is the process of eliminating the distortion that is caused by the room. I would cause the distortion because the reflected energy that comes back to your ears after the playback. So say you are recording vocals, for instance, and there's no treatment on the wall, that feedback will be coming, and that's how you end up with a vocal that is a bit roomy. It's like you've applied some reverb to it that you can't take out of it, which is not recommended. So that's the first reason of acoustic treatment, to get rid of that. You call it echo, but it's supposed to be called reverberation. Echo is just a one coming back signal that comes back once, but if they accumulate, a lot of them bouncing off the floor, ceiling, floor, rear, front and rear walls, we end up with what we call reverberation, the accumulation of the room sound. I would use that term to describe it. So that's the purpose of acoustic treatment. For vocals, you treat to minimize room sound or reverberation, to be able to get a more direct, clear sound, which you can maybe later manipulate. You can apply artificial reverb or delay, if you will. Or another reason for acoustic treatment is for mixing purposes. Suppose you're a mixing engineer or mastering engineer. You do not want the room sound to be interfering with what you hear. You want to hear your signal without the room sound. So the two approaches are different. For vocal guys, the treatment is different, maybe vocal booth or drum booth for that matter. The mixing room is also different depending on the usage of the room. So I think I covered that in some of the videos I did previously. So number one, we want to talk about the acoustic foam. I have here a 1 inch acoustic foam. I have 2 inch acoustic foam. And then I have 4 inch acoustic foam. These are a pyramid profile. It looks like a pyramid. And then we have the wedge version of the 4 inch panel. So why did I come up with this? The reason I came up with this is to be able to at least assist you guys with choosing the right kind of foam for your projects, whether it's a foam panel or the fabric panels, the local panels. So this guy here, this 1 inch foam, I do not recommend working with this foam because it's very light. It does not absorb so much sound. It only works towards the top end. So top end, even a towel can do a decent job than this guy. It does not do much. So do not invest in this. There's a project we did recently where we had to install almost 90% of the room with the 1 inch foam panels, these guys, but still the client was not happy because there was still room sound. What happened is that the 1 inch foam works on the top end, 5 kilohertz and above. 5 kilohertz, even a blanket can work on 5 kilohertz. So avoid 1 inch foam, will not help much. So the next guy is 2 inch foam. This is a bit industry standard. Most manufacturers will make this one because as much as not the best in absorption, the NRC, which stands for noise reduction coefficient, for this guy is around 0.65 or 65%. So what that means is that if a product has NRC or noise reduction coefficient of 0.65, it means that from 100 hertz, because NRC is calculated from 100 hertz all the way to the top kilohertz, maybe 5-10 kilohertz depending on the testing agency. These guys will absorb 65% of the sound that hits them from 100 hertz to maybe 5 kilohertz and above. So it means that the NRC rating for this is 0.65 or 65%. The NRC rating of this little guy here is around 0.4, which is 40%, and that 40% only represent the top end of the frequency spectrum, and that is why it will not work much on maybe the vocal range segment. So this guy will work works best from depending on the manufacturer, but most of them 500 hertz and above, they will perform really well, maybe 80, 60, 70% of 500, but below 500 now the performance will come down. So then we come to this guy here. These are conventionally called anechoic wedges, is a 4-inch absorber. It's wedge profile, just like the rest. So this guy is rated 0.8 or 80% of absorption, meaning that the sound that hits it will be absorbed. 80% of the sound will be absorbed by the panel. It's recommended where very high absorption is needed, maybe specifically if you're mixing and you want to get down the frequency range of maybe 300, 400, 500. Having said all that, avoid shipping 1-inch foam panels. They don't work well. As much as they are cheap, we know the economy is not very good for a lot of guys to afford the more effective panels. Just save that money. Spend it on maybe few more thicker panels and upgrade as slowly as you go. That will be worth it. Thank you for watching.